Hello once again. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the European Soccer Show. It's so nice to be back, isn't it, Leo? Say yes.
Yes, it is. Hi, Daniel. How are you?
He's been practicing his lines. Yes, I'm excellent, thank you. And again, it is good to be back. It's been a long old break for the internationals, but a lot of interesting things happened in the meantime, which we'll talk about later on for those who missed all the World Cup stuff, which has now finally been the full lineup's been announced, which is, we'll put it like that. But we've also had a weekend of gripping European football, or European League football, we should say. For the most part, we're actually going to start where there is no league football. We're going to start in England because it was the quarterfinal of the FA Cup. So we are going to concentrate there. It'll be quite a short one this week, I think. But on the Saturday, we had three matches. The first one was Manchester City against Liverpool. Chelsea took on League One side Port Vale, who are in the relegation zone in League One, and they played like it, losing 7-0 to Chelsea. It's a bit more predictable there at Stamford Bridge. But everywhere else, the ties were fantastic to watch. But we are going to talk about Manchester City 4, Liverpool 0. Gone are the days where Liverpool and Manchester City used to be this sort of clash of the Titans. Manchester City have shown time and time again this season that even though this is not a classic City side, they are significantly better than this Liverpool side.
Yeah, I totally agree. And this game proved your point. I think it's the third victory of Manchester City this season against Liverpool. And this time it wasn't, there was no doubt about the superiority of Manchester City over the Reds. It was a clear-cut victory, despite the fact that it's important to note that Liverpool maybe had the best start in the game before the first goal of Manchester City.
Well, it's interesting you say that because we've said that quite a few times this season. And it does tend to be that unlike right at the start of the season, where we saw Liverpool claw victories from the jaws of defeat, and everyone was thinking, hey, this is a lot of good mentality. Those mentality monsters are still there. Although the more cynical ones of us were talking about, is this sustainable? It turns out, no, it isn't sustainable. Hey, we got a comment from Marie Beck 9036 saying, "Is this real?" Which part of it? I can promise you, all of this is real. Any work done? This is a natural cue ball effect. Yes, this is real. We think, anyway, as philosophically at least, we think it's real. Is this real? Am I real? Whole other podcast. Anyway, so but yes, it's interesting you say that because this has been. Thank you, Marie. This has been a common thing with Liverpool this season, hasn't it? Because it does seem that, especially in the last sort of 5-6 months, any significant pressure on them, they tend to crumble, which is concerning.
Yeah, it's quite different than because you mentioned the first part of their season. I remember, for example, the win at Anfield versus Arsenal with this Szoboszlai free kick. And the mentality we praised at the time. And today, because we can also have a projection the Champions League tie against PSG, I can't see Liverpool in measure to just put PSG in difficulty over the two legs, even if, Champions League football isn't Premier League football or just league football. I'm quite concerned about Liverpool because I think it was very important after the last season when you saw Van Dijk extended this contract, Salah extended his contract, and the performances they put together this season. It's quite unbelievable, especially Salah, because we are talking about the Premier League MVP last season. He scored the most goal. He assisted the more times, and today, he doesn't seem capable of only score a
You
penalty.
can't account for that level of drop off, can you? You expect a little drop off from such an exceptional season,
of
but
course.
the amount it has, kind of inexplicable. Yes, it's a good point. We should probably have a word. Manchester City with 3 goals for Haaland, Erling Haaland getting a hat-trick and an FA Cup quarter-final, and the other one going to Antoine Semenyo. What was so good about Manchester City? Was it perhaps that they managed to get Ryan Cherki in a more influential role up the field?
Yeah, I think. And I think we also get Haaland back because, of course, we had debates, and everyone had debates about maybe the Norwegian has dropped his performances over the last few months because he was injured, then he didn't score and everything. And against Liverpool, I found it, and I found it also against Arsenal before the international break. He moves like he used to do, and of course, when you have players like Cherki, when you have players like Semenyo, Doku, some I wouldn't say uh, not Guardiola type players, but because of course Guardiola when he was at Barcelona had Lionel Messi, had Pedro, and this kinds of player. But Haaland today seems to be um, not revitalized, but is it like with Cherki, he has some connection, of course, and with all the players around him, and he has a real number 10. I think it's is.
Well, it goes back to something we spoken about before with Erling Haaland. If you feed him, he will feast.
Of course.
He won't create things for himself necessarily, but if you have enough creative players around him, then nature will take its course, kind of.
Yeah, he's a cold killer. Yeah.
As impressive as Manchester City were, we should probably say Liverpool obviously not great. What was the one positive for you from Liverpool?
The defense.
You get well, iconic considering it was 4-0. You messaged me saying that Florian Wirtz was actually having quite an influence.
Sorry, I mentioned Florian Wirtz in off because I really found his start to the game interesting, especially his link up with Hugo Ekitike. We have seen it during some times this season. I think he needed, of course, a season to adapt to Premier League football because it's quite different than Bundesliga. He's a young player, and since a few weeks now, I think we see the kind of player he was when he was playing in Leverkusen. And
I'm going to jump in there, and obviously now with Liverpool's exit from the FA Cup and their season potentially spiraling to a less than fruitful end. A lot of talk about Xabi Alonso still being available, and obviously he was the manager at Bayer Leverkusen when Florian Wirtz became one of the most sought-after players in world football. So you can hear sort of the rumour mill going crazy there. But we need to move on quickly and talk about the shock of the round. So Arsenal coming off the back of their League Cup final defeats against Manchester City before the international break, followed it up by losing another cup match. So they are now going from the quadruple. They've been knocked out of 2 competitions in 2 matches. Southampton 2, Arsenal 1. Northern Ireland's Shea Charles getting a late goal there on the south coast of England. So first of all, the atmosphere and the way that Southampton played was fantastic because they just absolutely inundated Arsenal with long balls, direct balls. It was a very windy day, and actually not much was made about the fact that Arsenal defenders just kept missing their headers. Southampton really stepped up, didn't they? And just put Arsenal under relentless pressure.
Yeah, but if you remember the tie against Mansfield for Arsenal, it was almost the same scenario, but this time Southampton are a better team than Mansfield because they are, of course, playing in the Championship.
I should also point out that since they changed manager, Southampton from Will Still, I think it was, they are now undefeated in 16 matches. So they are on this terrific run.
yeah, they were full of confidence before playing against Arsenal, and the fact that Arsenal are the Premier League leaders in the quarter final of the Champions League, and the fact that they were beaten 2 weeks ago by Manchester City. I think everything was put together to make the fit, because it is a fit, even if Southampton are a professional team. As we said, they are in the battle to the playoff of the championship, but it's kind of a fit, and of course the atmosphere at
St Mary's.
St. Mary's, yeah, was exceptional, and they played like they should, because Arsenal, they made some defensive mistakes, as they did in the last weeks. In some games, we can remember against notably the Wolves in the Premier League. They had troubles. They had also problems individually, as some defensive performance weren't the best, with some player injured. So, in the space of a few weeks, as you said, Arsenal went from a possible 4 titles at the end of the season to only 2 now. So, in my opinion, it will now be the time for Mikel Arteta to speak to his players, because he knows that what they are experiencing. He was a player. He won some trophies, and it's now important for him to teach a team that has never won how to win. Actually,
Yes.
it's difficult.
Well, after that result, Southampton will face Manchester City in the semi-final at Wembley. So all these teams will be playing at Wembley. Whereas Chelsea will be taking on their first Premier League opponents in this year's competition, which is astonishing considering it's the semi-final. And it'll be Leeds United, because on Sunday, Leeds United defeated West Ham United on penalties. Leeds actually had a 2-goal lead going into stoppage time of regulation time, and yet somehow West Ham managed to score 2 goals in the space of 3 minutes in stoppage time. They had another 2 goals disallowed in extra time. There's actually quite a funny / comical story about how loads of West Ham United fans left the stadium on the 90th, 2-0 down, about to exit. And then they heard the goals go in and tried to get back in and had to refuse entry. So a lesson for all of us. Stays at the end. But yeah, so Leeds United are in their first FA Cup semi-finals since 1987. So that's wonderful as well. Right, we shall leave there and we'll pick up the Premier League next week, I imagine. But for next, we are going over to Italia. So Serie A and some fascinating results. We are going to start at the bottom, though. Hellas Verona's short-lived revival is ended by Fiorentina. Fiorentina winning 1-0 at Hellas Verona, which means they are now 5 points ahead of the relegation zone. Are they safe? Is it finally happened?
I think yes, they are 5 points. It's not only the 5 points; it's also the dynamic of Fiorentina. They haven't lost in 4 now, and the dynamic and the form of their competitors. Because when you take a look at Cagliari, Cremonese, Lecce, Verona, and Pisa, I don't see any team capable of registering 2 or 3 wins in a row to try to beat Fiorentina and Genoa.
So that's a good point. So we should probably say at the bottom. So Pisa, Hellas Verona, yes, we're fairly certain they're gone. They're 9 points back now. But in 18th, Lecce on 27. Interestingly, despite the fact that Cremonese and Lecce both lost, Cremonese actually leapfrogged them out of the relegation zone this week. Because Cremonese lost by 1 goal and Lecce lost by 3 goals. So so now it's this very strange situation where all you have to do is lose slightly better than the other team and you might stay up.
Yeah, and that's where the goal difference is important. We can see that. Imagine being relegated for one goal or two goals, or even worse, because if they have the same goal difference, I think it will be the or the direct games results,
Yeah, head
or
to head, I
the
believe. Yeah.
head to head, or yellow bookings. I think so. It's pretty important for these teams with this thin gap between them to score, to try to not lose by too many goals.
Yeah, as I mentioned, Cremonese lost at home 2-1 against Bologna, whereas Lecce lost at home 3-0 against Atalanta, who are suddenly really pushing for Europe, despite their terrible starts to the
Yeah.
season. Yes, actually, let's go back up to the table then. So after Atalanta's victory, they were trying to close the gap on teams like Roma, Juventus, Como, all fighting for that final Champions League spot. Como were at Udinese and they drew 0-0. Missed opportunity there for Como. And meanwhile, Juventus defeated Genoa at home 2-0. Goals from Bremer and Weston McKennie in the opening 20 minutes. So Juve just 1 point behind Como in the fight for the European football. Is that the tide shifting, or was that just was that allowed from Como, because they've been so good in recent weeks?
Yeah, I think it has been allowed by Como, but if you take a look at their games against Udinese this season, you can see that even if they won the first leg 1-0, it wasn't an easy victory. So it's only a part surprise to see Como fail to win at Udinese.
And we should probably point out as well that at the start of the season, they weren't treated as a big club, whereas now they are.
Of course.
Other teams that was really sitting back against them, despite the fact that they saw like the new kids on the block, so to speak.
Yeah, low block with of course. And now the race to the Champions League is totally on, because there are only 5 points between Como, who are fourth, and Atalanta, who are seventh, and it's a missed opportunity for Como, especially given the result of Napoli and Milan. Because
we haven't said that. We haven't said that yet. We haven't. Spoilers.
Sorry.
It was right. Well, you may be wondering why we haven't mentioned Roma in this discussion. Because Roma on Sunday went to Internazionale and they lost 5-2. Astonishing match. Inter actually scored in the first minute to really set the tone through Lautaro Martinez before Mancini equalised. Çalhanoğlu regained the lead for Inter just before half time. C. Di Money 6-7 says 6-7. That's a quite 2025 sort of thing, if you don't mind me saying. But yes, in the second half, Inter, in the space of 15 minutes, managed to thrash 3 goals through. Another one by Martinez, Marcus Thuram, Nico Baela, before a late Roma consolation. Was this a case of Roma capitulating? Because before the international break, Inter were... we were worried because they'd got a few games without winning. Suddenly, the title race looked like it was opening up again. But this was what a performance from Inter.
Yeah, I think it's we can call it a statement by Inter, because last time we had the show, we talked about the fact that first they drawn 2 games and lose 1. They weren't able to score goals, and now they get Lautaro Martinez back, and he scored a brace against Roma. Roma, we can recall, they were before this day the second best defense in Serie A. So scoring 5 against them is not something very usual, if I can say that. And I think it's a very important victory for them, because if they had lost this one, they would be only 4 points ahead of Napoli.
Yes, absolutely.
And the ghosts of last season could have come back, because they have lost everything.
So I just saw the comment from Sid Money. Have you ever heard of a New York City Football Club? Yes, we have.
Actually,
I believe
yes.
it's part of the City Football Group. And although not affiliated with the 120 odd Chargers. Yes. So actually, you mentioned there that Napoli are now in second place after defeating AC Milan 1-0 with Politano getting the only goal in that game. So now Napoli are in second place. I think that's is that 8 matches remaining, 7 points. This isn't. This is almost certainly not really a title race. But it's fascinating that Napoli are ending the season so strongly.
Of course. It wasn't a really good match between Napoli and Milan because there were a lot at stakes between the second and the third. But for the team losing, Massimiliano Allegri told that after the game, the title is now off for Milan because, of course, with 9 points now behind Inter, it's impossible with only 7 games to win to get back to Inter. So Napoli, they have a little chance, but when you take a look at the schedules of Inter, it seems pretty difficult.
So I'm getting distracted by CD Monies. First of all, him just saying Lautaro Martinez. I mean, it's a good comment. He's an astonishing footballer. It does make me think, like the fact that he's so iconic, possibly because he stayed at Inter for so long, despite being linked with. But also the fact CD Money says, my dad works for New York City FC. He's the bolt. So Todd's your dad. Your dad's Todd, is he? Todd Donovan, is it? Oh my goodness. Did I check that online? Of course I did. The magic of production. Right, we are going to park there, but the last of the results to take you from Serie A. Sassuolo defeated Cagliari 2-1. Lazio and Parma shared a 1-1 draw, and Pisa lost at home because that's what they do. 1-0 against Torino. Right, okay, we are going to go off to the Bundesliga, and my goodness me, there were goals galore. We're going to start with the very first one on Saturday.
Once again, because it is Bundesliga.
Yes. By Leverkusen 6, Wolfsburg 3. Astonishing result. Now, for those of you who've not seen, Wolfsburg, despite being the sizable club that it is, and we're probably expecting a mid-table finish, maybe even like trying to scratch into Europe, they find themselves in the relegation zone and are now 4 points adrift of just the relegation playoff. They made a good effort of it. They were 3-1 up against Leverkusen, but Leverkusen came out in the second half and absolutely destroyed them.
Yeah,
it was a fun match to watch, though.
Yeah, it was because of first the 9 goals. Of course, when you go to the stadium, you want to see goals, and this one was a perfect example. As you said, it was kind of a mad first half between Leverkusen and Wolfsburg. They traded blows, and Wolfsburg were leading at the break, but then they totally fall off after the equalizer, and it was unfortunately over for them. And it's a really, really bad result in the view of the playoffs, because they are now 4 points behind St. Pauli. So,
quick question from CD Money asking, "What's your favourite football club?" For those, so yeah, if you don't know, Leo, your team is
Lyon.
Yes,
I'm a Olympic Lyon fan
because it's the closest to his name.
Yeah.
For the same reason, I was going to say, I can't think of a name with Dan in the front. Angers for France. I'm Newcastle. I'm a Newcastle fan.
Tough times.
It's fine. Elsewhere in the Bundesliga, let's talk about another game. Freiburg 2, Bayern Munich 3. This is one of the most insane finishes to a match I've ever heard of. Freiburg, again, if you didn't hear, were winning 2-0 with 10 minutes left to play. And Bayern somehow turned it around to win 3-2. 2 goals from Tom Bischoff. The first coming in the 81st minute, the next in stoppage time. And then in the 9th minute of stoppage time, Lennart Karl, the wonder kid, tapping in from close range after a brilliant assist by Alphonse Davies back from injury. I mean, you run out of ways to describe Bayern, because this is the sort of result that they could easily let slip, and it's fine. It's no big deal because of the gap at the top. But they just won't let it go.
Yeah, and moreover, I think it's the kind of victory at the edge of the a final sprint of the season, because they practically won the Bundesliga title. We can say that, especially after this victory, they are 9 point clear of Dortmund. But they will play now in the Champions League, and they can only focus on the Champions League because, of course, they will play Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. Then they could play. Is it PSG in the semifinals?
I think Paris Saint-Germain is Arsenal Sporting side, I think.
Yeah, you're certainly right. They could play Barcelona or Atletico Madrid,
Oof.
and then they could play Arsenal or PSG or Liverpool or Sporting. But if
We
we
should
just
also
take the
say that this
favorites,
is without Harry Kane. Harry Kane picked up a
yeah,
slight injury before the international break, didn't play for England during that time. But despite missing the international break, he's still the top goal scorer around Europe.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of talk currently about what's as we're getting into the business end of the season. There's a lot of talk about, as for some reason there always is, about next year's Ballon d'Or winners and who should be shortlisted and so on. And it's hard to look past the usual suspects in Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Harry
Lamine
Kane,
Yamal, yeah.
Lamine Yamal. I suppose the question is, with this summer coming up, do you think to stand any chance you need to win either the Champions League or the World Cup to be considered? Because it does seem to be, although it does seem to be that you need to win something in order to win the Ballon d'Or these years.
Yeah, but remember in 2018 when Rafael Varane won it all with the World Cup, the Champions League, the Liga, Copa del Rey, and everything, he didn't win
Was it Luka Modric that year?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. He didn't win the Ballon d'Or. So, of course, winning a Champions League and or a World Cup will help, and especially since this year, I think it's all forwards going favorite for the title, and historically the Ballon d'Or is easier to win for forwards because of the highlights, the images, than for a defender, a goalkeeper, even a
Well, of course,
midfielder.
Rodri won it in, was it
Yeah,
2023? Was it
four?
24? 2020.
Yeah, 24.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. But yeah, it does tend to be forwards, doesn't it? What was the last defender to win the Ballon d'Or? This has gone completely off topic from the Bundesliga. Apologies. Es tut mir leid, Bundesliga fans. The last defender was Fabio Cannavaro, wasn't it, in
2006?
Yeah.
When he won the World Cup.
It's an interesting thought. Anyway, let's back to the Bundesliga. So after Bayern's victory there, they went clear at the top further, but the gap to Dortmund remains 9 points because they went to Stuttgart and won 2-0, despite the fact after 90 minutes it was 0-0. But goals in stoppage time from Adeyemi and Julian Brandt got them 3 points. We mentioned this last time before the international break, that Dortmund have kind of gone under the radar about having an excellent season. In any other year, I think we'd be like lauding them with plaudits, I guess. Lauding and plaudits, I think. Your English is better than mine. But they have, especially in the second half of the season, they've really found this groove. They really have found a way to play that suits them, and they're ending the season strongly.
Yeah, they have only lost 2 games this season, which is remarkable, of course. The difference it's that they didn't go further in the Champions League, but still, the only thing that prevents them to actually compete with Bayern Munich is the number of draws they have conceded this season. But their season is truly remarkable, and as we said 2 weeks ago during the show, now even if they are seated in the second place, and I don't think they will be knocked out of this second place, they have a role to play in the Champions League qualification, because they have beaten Stuttgart, allowing Leipzig to go on the third step of the podium. Then they will play Hoffenheim and Bayer Leverkusen in the next weeks. So the things can still change, even if with 6 games to go.
Well, considering, well, that's a good point. Looking at the Champions League places now, RB Leipzig went to Werder Bremen, who have recovered in recent weeks, but Leipzig did win 2-1 in Bremen. They are now third on 53 points, and they are ahead of Stuttgart in fourth on goal difference, who are 3 points ahead of Hoffenheim in fifth, and they lost at home to Mainz 2-1 with goals. Mainz, their goal scorer was Tietz. So, and he scored a pair. So there you go, a pair for Tietz.
Yeah, with Brest.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, sorry.
That's the name of the replay on YouTube.
Yeah. Dear me. Anyway, but first of all, a quick word on Mainz, who were they bottom? Like 7-8 weeks ago, something bad like that.
They were or 17th,
but they are now 4 points behind the last European spot. It's like their turnaround is astonishing. The last 6 games, they're undefeated in 7. They've got 4 victories from those 7. And they are 4 points behind Freiburg, who occupy 8th place, which may be enough for a Conference League qualifier. So even though Hoffenheim lost at home, which is a disappointing turnaround because Hoffenheim, until recently, obviously were in and among the Champions League places. So 1 victory in 5 for them. They've lost that momentum, but also you kind of have to give credit to Mainz because they are the momentum team outside of the top 2.
Yeah, you're right. And just to have a word on Hoffenheim, they weren't meant to play for Champions League football, so they overperformed this season. Their mercato last summer was very interesting with a lot of bets on new players, and it proved, in my opinion, on an external point of view, their season is already a win because they are 4th. They are likely to qualify for the Champions League, which wasn't expected. So great season by Hoffenheim.
They're 5th currently, so they are out.
5th, sorry,
they are they are 3 points behind Champions League qualification, but they are more likely to get into Europe. It looks.
But if Bayern are to win the Champions League, does it change something for the Bundesliga?
No. The 5th is only through the coefficients. Currently, the top 2 coefficients are England and Spain. So, speaking of which, we'll go on to La Liga shortly and talk about their 5th place situation. Only 4 points separates RB Leipzig in 3rd and Bayer Leverkusen in 6th. So all to play for those teams. The only other results to bring you from the Bundesliga: Borussia Mönchengladbach drew at home 2-2 against bottom of the table Heidenheim. Bit of a missed opportunity from Mönchengladbach. Hamburger drew 1-1 against Augsburg, despite having a man dismissed with half an hour to go. And on Sunday, Union Berlin won, St. Pauli won. St. Pauli still just getting that precious point to pull away from Wolfsburg. And Frankfurt Köln 2-2 between those two. Lovely. Right. So we're going to go to La Liga, as we mentioned. And the first thing we've got to talk about, we are going to talk about Mallorca. Why are we talking about Mallorca? Well, before this round of fixtures, they were in the relegation zone. They were a point behind Elche, rather. That's Lecce's Italy. Elche. And they had to play Real Madrid, the Giants, and Mallorca won 2-1. An incredible result. They led at halftime. Militao equalised with only a couple of minutes to spare for Madrid. But is it Muriqi? The striker for Mallorca.
Muriqi, we say it in French.
Muriqi, in stoppage time, getting the winner for Mallorca. So not only is this an incredibly surprising result from Mallorca, but what a performance. This is a team that really is ready to scrap for survival.
Yeah, because before this weekend, they were in the relegation zone. But how bad for Real Madrid? I wouldn't go so far as to say that this defeat will cost them the title, because We've mentioned the away games, tough away games for Barcelona to come, the Champions League and everything. But wow, this was an embarrassing loss
Yeah.
for Real Madrid.
They ran out of ideas, didn't they? I mean, it was resulting.
Yeah.
They were sort of relying on Alexander Arnold's set pieces at the end.
To
really dig themselves out.
Even if Kylian Mbappe returned in the starting lineup, he hasn't scored for now 6 games, I think, since February.
Gosh,
he was injured, of course.
There's a long drought. They are now 7 points behind Barcelona, who went to Atletico Madrid. This is one of 3 times they're going to play each other over the next couple of weeks because they've faced each other in the Champions League. Atletico Madrid 1, Barcelona 2. Atletico actually took the lead in this game through Simeone before Marcus Rashford equalised. And then Nico Gonzalez got a straight red card just before the half-time. Barcelona struggled to find that killer blow, but Lewandowski found the winner with just a few minutes to spare of regulation time. So probably aided by that red card, absolutely. But Barcelona did deserve this. And mentioned for Rashford, who sort of stepped up with Rafinha missing out through injury. It'd be quite easy to sort of say, hey, we're missing one of our best players. But Marcus Rashford, as has shown throughout the season, the second that one of the wingers is away, he shows himself to be just as good, or at least an appropriate replacement.
Yeah, it was a goal all the more important for Marcus Rashford, given the fact that it's been weeks. Media talks about the fact that he could definitively leave Manchester United to Barcelona. So it was important for him to score that goal in a crucial game. And if we talk about the Barcelona's point of view, first, it allowed them to go 7 points clear at the top of La Liga, and it sends a clear message to Atletico before their two-legged quarterfinal, a Champions League quarterfinal this week and next week, because it will be a tough battle. These 3 games are a tough battle.
It does make you think when they, because of course the first leg of the Copa del Rey, Atletico defeated Barca 4-0.
Yeah.
You do wonder what happened specifically to the Barcelona players, and that was just through that mini slump where they had to have a meeting with the manager and sort of talk about, hey, we don't think we can play this high line, and he was adamant like, I think you can, I know you can. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Because since then they've played each other twice. And Barca have won 3-0, and they've just won 2-1 in Atletico. It doesn't bode well for Atletico in the Champions League, I guess.
Of course, Champions League is different football, but Barcelona, in terms of what is proposed on the pitch, I really like this football. But to be fair for Atletico, in La Liga, because they are not in the race for the title, Diego Simeone put some substitutes on the starting lineup.
That's a really good point. It's a really good point.
Because of course he wants to qualify for the Champions League semi-finals.
Absolutely, and he is 12 points ahead of 5th, so there's no real risk of them not getting the Champions League at this point. Speaking of which, other Champions League challenging teams. So Villarreal actually last night went to Girona and lost 1-0, which confirms Girona's place in La Liga for another year. But they stay a point ahead of Atletico, so they're still there in 3rd place. We go down to 5th, where we have Real Betis are currently 5th. Despite they drew 0-0 at home against Espanyol, which has opened the door for Celta Vigo, who are now only 1 point behind after a thrilling 3-2 victory at Valencia. Valencia were leading 1-0 at half-time, and then Celta Vigo charged out the gate, scoring 3 goals again in the first 15-20 minutes of the second half before a late consolation for Valencia. So Celta Vigo, again, incredible season. Started in the relegation zone, lots of draws, couldn't win. Middle of the season, started challenging for Europe. Then they had that slump, and now they're back again. If they can find their feet, Celta Vigo could be in the Champions League, which is an astonishing turnaround regardless. But they feel like the team with more momentum than, say, the challengers around them.
Yeah, but I think the key for Celta Vigo to qualify for the Champions League will be to be better at home, because it's funny to note that when they play home, they are 17th in La Liga, and
Oh,
when
really?
they play away, they are third. So there is a big contrast, and for a team that ambitions to go to the Champions League, they desperately need to win at home. And for Real Betis, who haven't won a single game since 15th of February, it's also strange to see them still fifth, leading this group of four Champions League
Yeah,
contenders.
it's quite strange when you compare to say in the Premier League, where there are like Chelsea,
Yeah,
Liverpool, Aston Villa, Manchester United all fighting for those Champions League places, whereas the top four in Spain are so far ahead that
yeah,
they're sort of secure, and then we're sort of getting it. Well, it's a scrap for like the extra thing. So you got Real Betis on 45, Celta Vigo on 44, and beneath them you've got Real Sociedad on 41, who defeated Levante 2-0 this week. And also on 41 are Getafe, who leapfrogged Athletic Club after they defeated them 2-0 in Getafe. So those four teams only separated by 4 points. And apart from Betis, you wouldn't expect any of the others to really be challenging for Champions League football.
no,
Maybe,
no.
again, certainly considering the start of the year when Sociedad had their issues, when Getafe were sort of pulled towards relegation as well. It really does show just what consistency can do for you.
Yeah, and you were talking about Getafe. What they have achieved since February is quite impressive. To be honest, uh, they are first. They are putting themselves in a position to qualify for European football, maybe Champions League if Spain are to stay in the second place in the UEFA coefficient. Uh, and they in this run they have beaten all of their rivals. They have beaten Athletic Club, they have beaten Espanyol, Real Betis, they drawn with Celta. So it shows that they have what it takes to compete with these teams, and they also have beaten Real Madrid, Villarreal during this run.
Mm.
So they are not where they are by chance. They are here because they really deserve it.
The only other results to mention, which we didn't before, Rayo Vallecano defeated Elche 1-0 on Friday, which basically means Rayo Vallecano are safe, while putting Elche into the relegation zone. Alaves drew 2-2 at home to Osasuna, a mad end to the game. Alaves equalised in the 90th minute, I think, through the penalty.
Yeah.
After which both teams had a man sent off, which was funny. The last one was quite interesting. So first of all, Real Oviedo, their second win in 3 matches, bottom of the table, but showing signs of life. I mean, they are 7 points away from safety, but they aren't doomed yet. However, the team they beat were the team immediately above the relegation zone, Sevilla. So Real Oviedo 1, Sevilla 0. Yes. So Sevilla now only 2 points ahead of safety, ahead of Elche. You worry that's no wins for them in 5 matches. Really concerning. I mean, we spoke throughout the season because the relegation fight in Spain has been so fascinating and so unpredictable, and so it changes every single week. And for a long time, Sociedad looked like they might get pulled into it. For a long time, Valencia have looked in trouble. Valencia is still only 6 points ahead of Elche, but that's relatively safe now. And Sevilla, and yet Sevilla are the ones that just have never managed to pull away. Do you see any signs of them actually managing to do it in the final weeks of the season?
They desperately need to win some points because, as you said, they only have 2 points ahead of Elche. The only chance for them is that Elche and Levante, even if Levante had a good form, they are behind them at the moment. But Sevilla have only won 2 games in 2026. They are coming off 3 consecutive defeats. It's kind of crazy to see how this club felt down from European champion to battling for to avoid relegation. And when I took a look at their starting lineup and substitutes, and there are some players how this club did fall off like that. It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, we say European champions, like the kings of the Europa League /
Yeah,
UEFA,
they have won
UEFA Cup.
five Europa Leagues in
It was
6 or 7 years.
I think it was 4 in 4 years. I think with 2
4
different managers,
yeah.
and a fifth a couple. Yeah, it's mad. They have won a record number of UEFA Cups / Europa
I think
Leagues.
they have 7 Europa Leagues in
Yeah, I
to the
believe
name.
it. Yes, well, in the coming weeks, we'll see how that goes. Right, the final stop on our European tour is, as ever, over in Ligue 1. Ligue 1, indeed, where we may well have seen the end of the title race, which, to be fair, considering it's France, was actually quite a long one. So on Friday, Paris Saint-Germain defeated Toulouse 3-1 with a couple of goals from Dembele and a late one from Gonzalo Ramos, who I always forget plays for them. But elsewhere, Lens went to Lille on Saturday, and Lille won 3-0. That feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Before the game,
we also say Paris Saint-Germain are now 4 points ahead of Lens with the game in hand. So it's not done, but also there is now a gap.
And with a game in the end against Nantes, who are 17th, so they're practically relegated. So yeah, for Lens, even if they had win this game against Lille, which was just to recall a derby in France, it would have been difficult, to be honest, because 4 points against Paris Saint-Germain plus goal difference.
Yeah.
It's always difficult.
We should also say that Lens, considering we're in April now, this is their worst performance of the season, which in a derby isn't great, but also we should say this is how long it's been in the season before there was a genuinely bad performance from Lens.
Yeah. They sometimes had difficult games, but they are like similar to Arsenal. Sometimes they scored on free kick. At the moment of the season, they were the best teams on free kick, corners, and everything. So they were like an Arsenal-like, but in French. And now it's the title race is obviously over, in my opinion. I think they have secured the Champions League football.
I would agree with that. So we should say that 4 points behind Paris Saint-Germain, but they are 9 points ahead of third place, which is now Lille, we should say. You might be asking, why are Lille third? Well, my dear friends and listeners and watchers and viewers and other spooky people following us on social media and in the streets, that's because other interesting things happened. So Lille, that is their 5th victory in 6. They are now third. They leapfrog Lyon and Marseille because let's talk about Lyon first. My apologies. They went to Angers. Is it Angers?
Yeah, Angers. Yeah.
And they drew 0-0. So I've just written in my notes the word apologize. So because at the end of their 13 matches won in a row in all competitions, I tantalizingly said, hey, are they in that funny little title race? Are they an outside bet? Sort of playing it up. And since then, they've won 1 match. So next question. 1, is it my fault? But 2, why do you think they can't seem to get it going again? Because it's been very stodgy of late, hasn't it? Lyon, that is no wins in 7.
Yeah. In 9, I think 9. If we take the Europa League football too.
And of course, they got knocked out of both competitions as well.
Yeah. So to answer your first question, yes, it's your fault. And the second one is that I think pas de problème. I think the defeat at Stade Vélodrome, I don't remember, but 8 games ago, it is the turning point of the Lyon's end to the season because they conceded this goal at the 91 minutes. Then they were knocked out of the Coupe de France by Lens on penalties after having scored 2 goals in the dying minutes. So all these scenarios with the injuries, with the restricted squad, and it costed them a lot, and now they seem incapable of winning. But if we have to find a positive point, they are only 2 points away from the third place.
Absolutely.
This is the only positive.
And we should also say another reason why Lille are third is not only because of the Lyon's result, it's because of Marseille and Monaco. Yeah. So the last match of the weekend, Monaco against Marseille. Monaco, who came into the game in incredible form, and Marseille stumbling of late. Monaco 2, Marseille 1, which means that in third place is Lille, in seventh is Rennes, who we'll talk about shortly.
Yeah.
And there are only 3 points separating 4 teams for that last guaranteed Champions League spot. So now fourth place are Marseille on 49, but Monaco are behind on goal difference only. They're fifth on 49, 1 point ahead of Lyon. So it's, incredible turnaround for Monaco. I actually wrote this down. So that's their 7th victory in a row in the league, I believe. In those 7 matches, obviously they've won 21 points, and Lyon have won 3, all of which were draws. That kind of highlights just how momentous this shift is from Monaco, right? And obviously we should say as well, Marseille have lost their 2 matches as well. They're the 4th stumbling. So Monaco, despite, again, having an awful season, are now 1 point away from Champions League football. And it has to be said, Lille and Monaco and Rennes are the teams that have momentum, and Marseille and Lyon are the ones that are really struggling to reclaim it.
Yeah, and just take a look at the opponents Monaco have beaten in recent weeks. So they have beaten Marseille, Lyon, they have beaten Paris Saint-Germain. They have beaten all these big names in France. So they really, since Pocognoli's arrival and the draw against Juventus in the Champions League, they have increased their level, and they are now the most informed team in the league. Even if they are not that good, but they have key players, key moments. I don't know if you saw the Folarin Balogun's goal against Marseille. Incredible goal. They are likely to finish in the top 4, and I think they will even finish third. So yeah, they have a great second part of the season.
It's kind of mad to think that up to, say, 6 weeks ago, if someone told you that Marseille and Lyon might not be in the Champions League, you'd laugh at them. That was the significance of the gap between them and all the other teams in 5th, 6th. But just, the turnover. And we should include Rennes in that as well, because that's they went to Brest this weekend and won 4-3. A fantastic match.
Yeah.
Which means Rennes are now on 47 points, and again, within 1 victory of third. Rennes, again, similarly, Rennes, and apart from like 2 or 3 weeks in between, since the start of the year, their form has been fantastic as well. And a lot of credit should go to Rennes and Monaco and Lille for not giving this up, because they've made this not only exciting, but also they've really shaken up the status quo in French football this year. Monaco, I should say.
Yeah, because the thing is that behind PSG, all the teams are quite the same level. So it makes the league very interesting in terms of different battles for the relegation to stay and for the European spots. And Rennes, for example, they have changed their manager after Habib Bey's dismissal. They have taken Franck Hez, who was in Lens and in Nice a few years ago. They have a striker, Esteban Le Paul, who is now on the verge of being named the Golden Boot of Ligue 1. So they seized the opportunities to play for Champions League football next season, and it will be a really disputed battle till the end. It will be very interesting.
Some other results to tell you about in League. Strasbourg defeated Nice 3-1. So for Strasbourg, of course, it's more about keeping the momentum because they're still in 2 separate cup competitions. Not likely to qualify for Europe through the league, but they are still keeping good form. Whereas
But
Nice,
watch out for this end of the season.
It's going to be very fun. Whereas Nice are now only 4 points ahead of the relegation playoff spot after Auxerre went to Le Havre and drew 1-1. Lorient drew with Paris FC 1-1, and Metz and Nantes, the 2 bottom clubs, faced each other, desperate for points. They drew 0-0, which is entirely pointless. Although, ironically, not. Okay, so we should end our little European tour there and go on to things we may have missed to wrap up the show along with Trivial Trivia. So what might we have missed this week, Leo?
The first is that PSV in the Netherlands have been crowned champion for the 3rd time in a row.
I forgot to check. I knew it was a big gap, but that is early for a champion.
Yeah. 5 match days are remaining in the league. So yeah, cheers to PSV.
Congratulations to them. Speaking of which, we go from Ligue 1 to Ligue 1. So the 3rd tier of English football, we have our first promotion of the season. Lincoln City have been crowned champions of Ligue 1. So they'll be playing in the 2nd tier of English football for the first time since 1961. Which is kind of brilliant. So a 65-year gap. So that's brilliantly done. Anything else from you?
Yeah, we are going from Ligue 1 to Ligue 1. No, it's a joke. No, from Ligue 1 to National League, England's 5th tier. I don't know.
You got there as well. I got something.
I don't know if you saw. We maybe have the same story between York City and Rockdale.
Yeah.
They are separated only by 2 points after 43 match days. And it means that...
I pause a second. So for anyone who's like, if you watch the Wrexham documentary, when they got promoted, they had this big head-to-head with Notts County, and the idea being that only one team gets an automatic promotion spot, despite the fact they're both so far ahead. This is more so, in a way, the gap between them and 3rd. So York City have lost 1 match since October. And despite that, they've broken 100 points. And despite that, this is the first time they've been in first position. That's how much them and Rochdale have been sort of at each other. So Rochdale are on 99, York City are on 101 with 3 matches left.
Yeah. So one team with over 100 points will not be promoted in the league.
It's insane.
And the best thing is that they will face each other on the final match day of the season.
I forgot that. Yes, I'm from York, so York are like my local team. So like I do check on them regularly. That's going to be exciting. That's going to be.
And if they are qualified to League 2, we can say they are in the New York. It's a New York side. Sorry. Go on.
I get what you're trying to do, but if you've ever been to it, you'll understand how very, very old it is. Never ever call it New York. It is the original New York. Yes, well, it's not what it's named after, isn't it?
I didn't know that. So
yeah, it's anything in America's name new. It's after something over here.
I know there is.
New York was originally New Amsterdam, and then it's New York. So yeah,
because in America, I know there is a Paris, there is a Montpellier, there is some. Yeah. They like.
I mean, for God's sake, they have a New England. They have a New Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, think of your own names, damn it.
New Orleans. Orleans is
anyway, sorry. Before just rather than just like roasting the states. Anything else we might miss? In Scotland, the title race with 1 match left of the regular season. There's a little cutoff. There's only 3 points between Hearts, Rangers, and Celtic, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. There's 1 match left, and then what happens is the league is split to 2, and then the top 6 play each other, the bottom 6 play each other.
Yeah.
So there are 6 matches left, but if Hearts could stay ahead on the change, that means they all play each other still, which is very exciting.
So against this playoffs thing,
it's not playoffs. Like I said, the league split, so it's like a relegation and anyway. And in the championship, Coventry drew 0-0 at Hull, I think it was. But in doing so, they are now 12 points ahead of third place, with only 5 matches to go. So 1 more victory, Coventry will be in the Premier League. Frank Lampard's Coventry City, which is very exciting for them. Anything else we might have missed?
No, we have said it all.
In that case, just to round off, in case you guys missed it, the final lineup for the World Cup, we had the playoffs during the international break. The biggest news is that, in case you didn't hear it, is that 4 times champions Italy are not going to be there for the 3rd competition in a row. They went to Bosnia and Herzegovina, drew 1-1 despite having a man sent off, but then lost on penalties. So Italy will not be at the World Cup for the 3rd World Cup in a row, which means that the last knockout match that Italy won in the World Cup was
against France.
The World Cup final. In 2006. That was the last time Italy won a World Cup knockout match.
That's
on the World
crazy.
Cup. Elsewhere, the other big shock was that Denmark also aren't going to be there, who are ranked 20th in the world. They went to Czechia. They drew 2-2, and Czechia won on penalties, 3-1. Turkey are going at the expense of Kosovo. They won 1-0. And Sweden, Graham Potter's Sweden defeated Poland 3-2 with Viktor Gyökeres getting a last-minute winner. That was a great match as well. So they're off. Elsewhere in the international playoffs that happened in Mexico, Democratic Republic of Congo defeated Jamaica 1-0, so they'll be going through. A goal from Burnley's Axel Tuanzebe. And Iraq will be there after defeating Bolivia 2-1. So those are the final participants in the World Cup. Right. Okay. So trivial trivia.
That's your time.
That is my time. Although I did just ask it because it was the Italy question for me, to be honest. But that's it. That's all the time we have for this week. But yeah, what a way to get back. We'll see you guys next week, where we'll have actually the Premier League to talk about. That'd be nice. We might even mention some of the Champions League ongoing, see if anything interesting happened. But for now, thank you so much, Leo, for joining me as
Thank
ever.
you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone, for watching us.
Anybody, if they want to contact us, feel free to via legal means. There is X, there's the YouTube. Feel free to follow and watch us there, send a message. And as if ever you want to watch us again live on the live stream, you can comment as these guys did down here, and we will endeavor to reply so long as it's appropriate or funny. Until next time, thank you so much. Have a great week, everybody. Look after yourselves.
Have a great week, everybody.